this is my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Okay, so it's part 4, and it's a little bit different, as per usual with every time we switch parts. Part 1 through 3 and now 4. So, yeah, we're in part 4 now, and it's going to be a little bit different. So, it opens up with one of the strongest openings to this episode, I might add, of a unseen killer preparing his breakfast with a woman's severed hand. We don't see the guy, we just see the hands, but it's creepy and terrifying. So that should tell you what kind of thing we're going to be looking forward to for this series. So yeah, that gets us off to a very good starting point, doesn't it? Just a severed hand preparing food. I find that a little bit terrifying, but also intrigued because I want to know where the severed hand comes in. So yeah. Well, in case, I'm pretty sure that's what actually prompts Jotaro, who has since graduated high school and is now a marine biologist and has donned a white version of his standard uniform, and is now all dressed to the nines in white. He arrives in Morioh to look for a guy. We don't meet the guy until a little bit later, but he's looking for somebody while also asking if there's any sort of strange incidents that happened in the town of Morioh, which his taxi driver is unable to answer. But fortunately, he gets his answer pretty quickly when he finally arrives in Morioh. So, he eventually runs into a student named Koichi Hirose, who acts as our narrator for part 4. And he accidentally knocks the guy over because he wasn't watching where he was going, but he quickly picks the kid's stuff up and helps the kid on his own 2 feet using his stand, and quickly apologizes before asking for directions to Higashikata's house, or I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced. Higashikata, I think? I don't know. But in any case, he's looking for a guy named Higashikata who he can't find. But he eventually gets his prayers when some older senior students who start picking on Koichi, who immediately fends him off by saying hello, begins picking on another student who is revealed to actually be the person that Jotaro is looking for. And it's a kid named Josuke, who is, in fact, a stand user. We don't get to see his stand immediately, but he's shown to be a very kind and pleasant person up until one of the guys insults his hair and almost kills a turtle. So he's shown to be kind and generous up until somebody makes fun of his hair. At which point he pulls out his stand, and it's revealed that his stand is a close-range power type. We never actually see what it is, but it has a unique ability in that it can deal fatal damage, but it's able to restore that fatal damage, albeit deforming it somewhat. Case in point, he punches the guy in the face, and his face immediately heals, but is now completely different than what it was when he started. And upon realizing that they probably shouldn't be messing with Josuke, the bullies run off. At which point, Jotaro decides to introduce himself to Josuke, revealing that Josuke is apparently the son of Joseph Joestar, and that makes Jotaro his nephew. So now that he's established that they're family, he begins to talk to him about how the reason he decided to seek out Josuke is because of Joseph's inheritance. So Joseph's inheritance has been being divided up by his estates, and they found out that he actually has an illegitimate son, which Joseph immediately sends Jotaro to investigate. And Jotaro does. He immediately finds his quote unquote son, and meets with him and explains the situation. And Josuke openly admits that he does not want any of the inheritance. He openly admits that he and his family are better off as they are. So he never actually needs to worry about his money or any of that. And Jotaro immediately is accepting of that, pointing out that he feels like this guy is a bit off, but he also admits that he's a bit of a good person deep down. However, he has another thing that he wants to talk to Josuke about, which he doesn't get the chance to because some of Josuke's female classmates show up and begin I guess for the lack of a better word, they start trying to flirt with him and start up a conversation with him while he's talking to Jotaro. So Jotaro tells Josuke to tell them off, but inadvertently makes fun of Josuke's hair, which we've already established is the problem. And sure enough, Josuke and Jotaro get into a brief fight. We finally get to see Josuke stand Crazy Diamond, which as we've already established has restoration powers. So Jotaro is able to quickly defuse the situation using Star Platinum's time stop, but he openly admits that he kind of let his time stop atrophy a little bit. He hasn't used it in 10 years, so he kind of just didn't have a reason to use it. He never actually uses his time stop anymore, so he basically can only really pause time for half a second. But it's enough to stop the fight between him and Josuke, but it is a bit of a problem that he is now going into this in a weakened state, more or less. He's been neglecting his time stop, and it shows because he openly admits that he wasn't able to stop time for all that long when previously he was able to stop time for 5 seconds. It's been 10 years, so I can understand that, but it is a bit problematic when that's one of the main things your stand was known for in the past couple of episodes, being able to stop time. So he went from being able to stop time for a few seconds to barely at all. And that's going to be an interesting dynamic going forward because we've established that Jotaro was able to use his time stop to great effectiveness before, but as I've overly explained at this point, he's no longer able to use it as effectively as he was able to. But after telling off the other females himself, he explains to Koichi and Josuke what just went on, and explains that it was a stand, which we've already established is a thing, and we already know what it is. But he basically just catches Josuke up to speed with what a stand is, and explains that that Joseph has a stand as well, but also explains that it's because of Joseph's stand that he's there. So apparently there's a stand user named Anjiro Kachigiri, otherwise known as Angelo, who apparently developed a stand shortly before being executed, and he didn't die. And so there's a notorious serial killer running around who has caused quite a few problems, and is a little concerned that if Josuke loses his cool again, he could be very much in trouble. Basically the reason Jotaro knows about Angelo is because Joseph tried to use a spirit photograph to find a picture of his son, and the problem with that is that for whatever reason a picture of Angelo showed up instead, which caused Jotaro to become concerned and hope to investigate. So basically there's a new bad guy loose in Morioh, and Josuke is immediately told by Jotaro not to confront the guy, and explains that as long as he keeps his cool, he'll probably be fine. That doesn't really pan out because as his mother and his grandfather are talking about Josuke and how he's just started his first year of school, we actually see a guy get attacked by Angelo and use his stand to possess him and hold a store clerk hostage. And also kills his wife to be on top of that. So yeah, the guy himself who gets possessed isn't really a major character. He's in this episode once, and then that's it. But we don't find us out until Josuke actually goes to confront the guy. So the guy has been possessed. I explained that. He uses his stand to possess the guy and control him, and is now robbing the store. Since we knew it had to be possession because it's been established that this guy wasn't really concerned with robbing banks. He was going on a nice, lovely stroll with his wife, and now he's suddenly robbing a bank. So we figured a stand. So it's pretty obvious. So it's pretty easy to make the connection that a stand has to be involved, especially since they explain that Angelo is a stand user pretty early on. So yeah, it's clear that Angelo's behind the bank robbery, or at least the store robbery, and is holding the guy hostage. And Josuke and Koichi keep their head down because they're just on their way back from school. So they're kind of just realizing that, hey, we probably should keep our head down and keep safe because this guy seems like bad news. However, then the guy starts mocks Josuke's haircut, and Josuke loses it and uses his stand to basically disarm the situation with one punch. He punches the guy and the store clerk through their stomachs, and since his stand has been established to be able to heal whoever it hits, the lady who runs the store winds up fine. The guy not so much. He now has his knife in his stomach, and Josuke tells him that he now needs to go get surgery to have it removed. However, it's at this point where we actually see Angelo's stand, a stand named Aqua Necklace, who emerges from the guy's mouth, explains what it is and how it's a little upset that Josuke came in and interfered with its plans, and how it was just having a lot of fun with that bank robbery before Josuke came in and ruined it, and admits that it'll see him very soon before escaping into the sewer drain. At which point, Josuke is immediately accosted by the police for charging in recklessly and punching a guy. So yeah, but it is established that Angelo is able to talk through his stand. So he's able to see through his stand and talk through his stand. That's gonna be interesting. But in case Josuke is immediately let go by the police and meets up with Koichi. And the two shortly after, and the two decide they want to actually go talk to Jotaro a little more. But because Koichi has to go home, after the bank robbery, they decide, probably fine, but we do need to talk to him at some point. So Josuke goes home after being arrested, and sure enough picks up the phone, and immediately as he gets home, which is revealed to actually be Jotaro on the other end, and Josuke fills Jotaro in on what exactly happened, unaware that Angelo is actually washing his house, and disguised as a milkman. So it firmly establishes that Angelo knows where Josuke lives, and that's where the episode ends. So there's a lot to unpack in this. So it's firmly established that there is in fact something off about the town of Morioh. First and foremost, there's several serial killers and also a guy who miraculously has a stand, and it's never explained why he has a stand. So, yeah, that also opens up a bit of intrigue. Why does this guy suddenly have a stand? That doesn't, especially when it's been established that he didn't have a stand formal before. He doesn't have a stand before, so why does he have one now? It opens up a bit of intrigue, and I'm interested to see where it goes with that. So the episode establishes that Josuke is in fact their next JoJo, and is also openly establishes that there's a bit of a mystery going on here. There's a guy just randomly develops a stand out of the blue, and it's never really explained why. I'm assuming the next episode is going to, but that's a little weird. People don't just develop stands out of the blue. Either they're born with them, or they develop them through less than conventional means. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting seeing how they actually explore that, because I am a little bit interested. That's not a thing that should happen, but it did. So that's my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. What did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks, so be sure to check those out. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!